Hello, everyone. I wanted to discuss with you about what are your plans for where you are going to live. I'm not necessarily talking about a particular place or location or anywhere in the world and everything that you want to settle down. I'm actually referring to your goals of what kind of home you plan on living in throughout the rest of your life. The reason why I bring this up is because we all have our high aspirations and expectations and goals with the different career fields we intend on accomplishing in our lives. But the sad reality is that a lot of the U.S. wages are stagnant and sometimes even depressing, to say the least. Many people in their chosen career fields and many with lucrative jobs still only live in apartments. The reason for this is because of the size of the homes being over 200 or 2,500 square feet compared to the comfortable 1,500 square feet back in the 1970s. The mortgage rates for those homes have also increased along with the sizes of those homes. As property prices and rents become less affordable, there's evidence that micro and tiny homes are becoming more available and more in demand. There's been a growing surge in people in the past recent years that have chosen to live in smaller accommodations called tiny homes or pocket communities. Those so they can accomplish economic freedom. These tiny homes average around 100 to 500 square feet. Some are fixed homes with a foundation, and some are constructed on rolling trailers, which can easily be relocated if the owner feels like they want to relocate. A lot of these tiny homes often resemble a cottage or craftsman style home, but newer models in architectural designs have been utilized as well, unlike the RVs we're accustomed to seeing in our neighbors' front and backyard and in their driveways. Over the recent years, there has been a surge in tiny homes, house properties, and pocket communities with the growing need for affordable housing. Shows like Tiny House Nation and You Can't Turn That Into a House highlight people looking for alternative means of housing for one reason or another. The biggest reason is typically economic freedom. I'm sure you're going to respond with, "Why would I want to live in such a small house?" I will I will state the benefits for living in a tiny home. How about the freedom of being out of debt is the biggest reason. Because the overall cost of these tiny homes average right around $20,000. Utility costs are also greatly lowered as well. It's a similar life it's a simpler life with closer relationships. You'll also have a better ability to travel and a reduced environmental footprint. Many of the tiny homes are constructed with environment in mind and are built with reduced environmental footprint more than often using sustainable materials, utilizing solar panels on the roofs, rainwater collection systems, and composting toilets also greatly reduce the operating costs. Jay Schaefer, one of the pioneers in the tiny house movement and owner of Tumbleweed Tiny House Company, states, the average American house now puts 18 tons worth of greenhouse gases per year and an additional 7 tons worth of construction waste into local landfills. Consumes a lot of resources, about a quarter of an acre of woodlands in its production of the house. While living in a tiny home, one could also reduce attachment to personal belongings and live a simpler lifestyle with closer relationships. Living small and having less debt can also enable people to travel or vacation more often. The savings accumulated from not having a huge mortgage can give a person more opportunities to get out and experience the world. Warrior Homesteads, a non-profit organization, has recently recognized the need to house increasing number of displaced homeless veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and also traumatic brain injury. This organization offers the house to house these veterans in tiny homesteads, which also include a green space where they can also grow their own food while not having to worry about the daily stresses for free. There are some drawbacks to tiny living. There always has to be some kind of drawback. Depending upon the state and city location, government zoning regulations for some tiny homes have not been conducive to this lifestyle. Another issue is that space is truly precious commodity in tiny homes. Every square foot should be utilized with multiple functions if possible. Using scaled down adaptable furniture that maximizes use of space throughout the tiny homes can be especially useful. Often tiny homes won't even have a den or a home office unless the space is designed in a multifunctional manner, which is what a lot of people try to accomplish. People that choose to move into tiny homes will also have to pare down and either sell or donate a lot of their belongings because they only have so much allowable space within that home. Going tiny requires learning to only keep the belongings that are important to oneself and what makes them happy. For example, that giant shoe collection, that'll need to get pared down to a manageable and reasonable amount, only to those that are actively worn on a regular basis. Though tiny living means exactly that, living in a smaller home. The pros of living tiny, such as the overall cost of a home, the freedom from debt, and being able to live a simpler lifestyle, outweigh the cons. The gradual erosion of zoning regulations throughout the United States could enable tiny house living as a viable option for affordable housing throughout our nation. The small city of Spur, Texas, became the first tiny house friendly city in the United States because of their relaxed zoning laws. And it is apparent that many of those more towns throughout the U.S. will follow suit. The city of Rockledge, Florida, has now permitted tiny homes and pocket neighborhoods within their redevelopment mixed-use program and also their planned unit development zoning classifications. Going tiny can mean living larger, saving money, the freedom from debt, closer relationships, and smaller footprint on the environment. Thus, tiny living has a lot to offer. For those who choose to live in a tiny house or pocket community, they will experience life that can truly be rewarding or feel rewarding. With the growing need for affordable housing, there has been a surge in tiny house and pocket communities over the recent years, and a trend will continue to grow. Thank you.